Hi, I'm Roland from the Eco Experts. In October, we published our third annual National Home Energy Survey report. This is where we asked 2,000 UK adults about their attitudes to things like solar panels, EVs and heat pumps. We also asked them about the environment and government policy towards tackling climate change. In this video, I'm joined by Max from the team, who is one of the authors of the report. First of all, Max, just to kick us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the key findings from this year's report?
Absolutely. The first major finding we have from the report is that awareness of low carbon technology among the UK population is actually really high. But unfortunately, this awareness isn't necessarily translating into purchases, and there are two main barriers really in the way of that. The first of which is the upfront cost, and the second is a lack of awareness among the population regarding the grants, schemes and initiatives that are designed specifically to help overcome those costs. But encouragingly, when people do purchase low carbon technology, there is a very high level of satisfaction. And that's a really good positive that we need to take forward.
And that leads us nicely into some of the clips that we've got from our focus group, where they talk about investing in solar panels and heat pumps and EVs. So let's have a look at some of the things that they said.
Do you have kind of plans to further expand or invest in any more low carbon technologies?
Yeah, I mean, we've done pretty well. I've driven an all-electric car now for 10 years or more. That was quite an early commitment. At the same time as we installed the solar panels, we went for an air source heat pump. So we've had that now for 2 and a bit years and been really pleased with it.
What kind of savings have you seen with the heat pump?
The savings is difficult to quantify because, energy prices have been up and down so much. Well, mainly up, not so much down. I can be pretty confident that we certainly haven't spent more than we would have done with gas. Yeah. And I'm fairly sure that we've actually saved with that. Yeah. And the house has never been more comfortable through the winter. So we're completely gas-free. We've had the gas meter taken out. So we are an all-electric household now.
I'm in the process of having solar put on my house.
Okay, yeah.
I looked at it and went, I have a car which is a hybrid, so I'd like to plug it in. So I'd like a charger. While I'm at it, let's get some solar up on the roof because it also drives my heat pump, which is fine. And I'm much keener on getting solar in when it's sunny than when it's raining. Because I look at it like today, it's lovely and sunny. I'm thinking, God, if my solar was up, I'd make a few quid today.
Now we're on fully electric cars. There's such a variance in price to go to charge an electric car, depending on what charge points you're using, depending on whose network you're on, the different incentives. It's making it harder for people to make that transition if they don't have a charge point at home.
You installed solar panels a very long time ago. So have you already broken even on them? Have you started seeing a profit off them?
We broke even at 5.5 years. To put it in context, I'm not bragging, you can quote this if you want, it doesn't matter to me. Before we started this journey, our total amount that we paid on energy for the house and the cars we had at the time was £6,700 a year. That's under £2,000 now.
Oh, wow.
And we do more mileage than we did back then.
Yeah.
Across the 3 cars that we've now got. And that's the total cost of fuel. Everything for the house and the cars and the water heating. That's a drop of 72% on energy costs.
One of the other things that we found from the survey, Max, was that there's like a real lack of willingness for people to actually make personal sacrifices towards reducing their carbon footprint.
This is actually quite an interesting point in the data because people accept that there is a climate emergency going on, but they're not willing to make I suppose what you could call the everyday sacrifices in order to overcome it. They're not willing to give up consumption of dairy, they're not willing to give up consumption of meat, and they're not willing to even pay more to fly when they go on holiday or just when they travel.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point to make about low carbon technology generally, is that it's going to reduce your energy bills in the long term. It's also going to reduce your carbon footprint, but actually your lifestyle will not change dramatically. You'll still be able to drive around in an EV. You'll still have a warm house. You'll still have things powered in your home. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer for a lot of people, this low carbon technology and investing in it. Where do people see the government's role in all of this then?
Well, we need to caveat this by saying that this survey was taken before the most recent general election. The overwhelming majority of people don't think that any of the political parties have done enough to fight climate change.
So let's have a look at what our focus group said about climate change and net zero.
Obviously, I understand what net zero means. I think if people are being really, really honest, they don't want to downgrade their current lifestyle. If you can sell me a solution, whatever that solution is, that says I can have this to the standard of living and net zero, I'm all ears.
Well, I mean, net zero, even as a scientist, I think it's quite a complex thing to get a handle on. Basically, that we're not increasing the warming potential. Any emissions that are being created are being offset by natural processes absorbing carbon. So that essentially is how I see it. I'm not sure it's a helpful phrase. I think 99% of people probably don't really understand what it means.
How worried are you about climate change?
Oh, I mean, it's a huge deal. Even more so for our kids who are both in their 30s than it's going to be for us, because they're going to see the worst of it. And it's very frustrating that there seems to be so little international agreement and effort to actually do very much about it. It's been great to see the way that the energy transition has been gathering pace, almost regardless of the lack of sort of political will, because it makes economic sense.
Yeah.
So business are grasping it and business are going with it. It's a shame there isn't more support politically, because it would happen even quicker, but it is showing that it can be done. I fully recognise the seriousness of the issue. I understand the science. I think the more that people do individually, the better. And I try to spread the word as much as possible about what I'm doing and the individual changes that we're making, just to show that it is possible.
We all should be focused on what we can do to help make it better for us, not just ourselves. It's like, think of our children, think of our grandchildren. What legacy are we leaving them to cope with? It's changing, and we have to do something, but really seriously have to be doing something.
Well, Max, it sounds like we've got a lot to do to convince people that investing in low carbon technology will reduce their energy bills, cut their carbon emissions, and also help prevent climate change.
We absolutely do. But something which I really want to stress again, which we said at the very beginning, which is that when people do buy low carbon technology, they are very happy with the results and there is an extremely high level of satisfaction. So we should be really encouraged by that as we go forward.
That's a good positive note to end on. For more information about investing in low carbon technology for your home, visit theecoexperts.co.uk. There you'll also be able to download the entire report from the National Home Energy Survey 2024.